Imagine being given a second chance to rewrite your entire life story. What would you do differently? Picture this: a woman on the brink of a wedding she's about to cancel, with a secret that could destroy everything. 10 days before walking down the aisle, Lillian discovers a truth that will change her life forever. She's not just planning to end a wedding, she's planning to reclaim her entire future. Have you ever felt trapped in a relationship where your dreams were slowly dying? Where someone else's expectations crushed your own potential? This is a story of revenge, redemption, and radical transformation that will make you question everything you thought you knew about love, sacrifice, and second chances. A perfect love story turned into a perfect storm. A bride who refuses to be a victim. A plan so meticulously crafted, it'll make your jaw drop. From being a forgotten wife to becoming a powerful, independent woman, Lillian's journey is about to unfold in ways you can't even imagine. But here's the twist. This isn't just another revenge story. This is a masterclass in taking control of your own destiny. How far would you go to save yourself? What secrets would you uncover? What lies would you expose? If you love stories of unexpected triumph, if you're tired of watching women play small, if you want to see true empowerment in action, this story is for you. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications, because what you're about to witness is more than just a story. It's a revolution. Get ready to be inspired, shocked, and completely blown away. 10 days before my wedding, I've been given a second chance. A rebirth that comes with a crystal-clear mission: stay far away from Lance. My previous life was a carefully constructed narrative of love and sacrifice, now revealed as a carefully crafted illusion. In my first life, Lance and I were the picture of a perfect couple. We started as high school sweethearts, grew into partners, and eventually became husband and wife. But everything changed when he was 60 and decided he wanted something different. His shocking declaration of wanting to explore a romantic relationship with his first love broke my world into pieces. When I refused to accept his decision, he didn't just break my heart. He threw a teacup at me, his white hair wild and his eyes blazing with a fury I'd never seen before. "Lillian," he shouted, "you chased me when we were young. I gave you marriage and children. You should be grateful." Finding my forgotten postgraduate admission letter in the trash became my moment of awakening. Smoothing out its wrinkled surface, I realized how much I had sacrificed. In my previous life, I'd abandoned my academic dreams because Lance convinced me that our marriage and family were more important. I had given up everything: my education, my career potential, believing that love and motherhood would be enough. I quit my job when pregnant, and by the time my son went to boarding school, I tried returning to work. But the world had moved on without me. My skills were outdated, leaving me with only low-paying, physically demanding jobs like cashiering and stocking shelves. The painful truth hit me. Lance never truly loved me. I had spent 38 years trapped in a fantasy of happiness, a self-delusion that crumbled the moment he chose to leave. He married Delilah quickly, and my own son and grandchildren began spending holidays with them, calling Delilah Grandma. One mid-autumn festival, desperate for family connection, I called my son, hoping he would visit. His rejection was immediate and absolute. My son's cold words haunted me. "Dad and Aunt Delilah have pensions and give red envelopes to my wife and kids. What can you offer?" From that moment until my death, we never spoke again. When I passed away in the hospital, no one claimed my body. Only a compassionate nurse stood by my side as I took my final breath. In those last moments, I deeply regretted allowing love to consume me, forgetting my own value and potential. But now, I've been reborn with a second chance. My postgraduate admission notice is still intact, and my wedding to Lance hasn't happened yet. Everything can change. With just 10 days before my wedding and 15 days before graduate school begins, I knew my first step. cancel the wedding. Shortly after lunch, Lance's call came through. "Lillian, meet me at the Starbucks on West 2nd Road. I have something to tell you," he said. This cafe held memories of our past romance, a place we'd frequented during our dating years. In my previous life, I would have rushed to meet him without a second thought. But now, I paused before responding. "Okay, let's meet." I was ready to discuss ending our engagement. When I arrived, surprise struck me. Lance wasn't alone. Delilah was with him, a woman I recognized from Lance's college freshman birthday party, where he had introduced her as a childhood friend. Later, I'd learned from his roommate that they were high school sweethearts who had separated but remained close. "Sister Lillian," Delilah greeted me with surprising warmth. "Lance has been so busy preparing for your wedding. It makes me want to get married too. Congratulations to both of you." I offered a faint, non-committal smile. Boldly, I said, "How about I give you the position of the bride?" Delilah's eyes widened with panic. She glanced nervously at Lance, quickly waving her hands. No, Lance loves you. You shouldn't joke about such things," she said, maintaining her charming smile. The tension in the air grew thick. Lance quickly jumped in. "Yes, Lillian. You love me too much to give up your place as the bride. Delilah is like a sister to me. She'll pass the civil service exam and marry a rich, handsome man someday." When Lance looked at Delilah, his eyes were filled with a tenderness that spoke volumes. "Let's keep the wedding simple," Lance said. "Everyone knows how much you love me. There's no need for extravagance. The betrothal gift of 66,000 yen is too much. My family can only manage 28,000 yen. We'll cancel the name-changing ceremony too. Delilah mentioned none of her friends had one when they got married. In my previous life, I would have accepted these conditions without a second thought, blinded by my love for Lance. Back then, our families had only one brief meeting. His parents gave me a meager 200 yen, while my parents offered 1,000 yen. I had even convinced my mother not to be offended by their minimal gift. But this time, I was different. I felt no need to appease him. "Let's cancel the wedding," I stated firmly. Lance froze, his stammered response revealing his shock. "What did you say?" "I don't want to marry you anymore," I repeated, my voice steady. His composure quickly returned, his tone turning sharp and manipulative. "Are you joking? We've been together since freshman year. You've wanted to marry me since junior year. My parents have already booked the hotel. How can we cancel now? Can you even live without me?" Just as I was about to respond, Delilah returned, placing a glass of water in front of me. "Lance said you're on a diet, so we didn't order cake or coffee for you," she said with a saccharine sweetness. Internally, I sneered. Lance had always made decisions for me without my consent, treating me like a passive participant in my own life. Before I could fully articulate my thoughts, Lance continued, "Go home and discuss the betrothal gift with your parents. If 28,000 yen isn't enough, I can push my family to offer 36,000 yen, but no more." That evening, I sat down with my parents and explained my decision to cancel the wedding and pursue graduate studies. To my surprise, they were supportive once I shared my reasoning. "Should we talk to Lance's family? Or will you handle it?" my mother asked. "I'll handle it," I assured her. Later that night, I chatted with my college roommate Yvonne about my graduate school plans. Reminiscing, I recalled how we had initially prepared for the postgraduate entrance exams together out of friendship and solidarity. Remarkably, all four of us in our friend group had passed. The next day, I unexpectedly met Lance near my community entrance. "Have you discussed the betrothal gift with your family?" he asked. When I shook my head, he quickly added, "If 28,000 is too little, let's make it 50,000. Let's skip the part about changing how you address my parents, as we discussed earlier." "There won't be any extra money," I responded flatly. "If you have any other thoughts or requests, just let me know, and I'll consider them." Though I had no specific requests, Curiosity nudged me. Why did you suddenly raise the amount to 50,000? And didn't you just say we should keep the wedding simple? Why are you asking for my opinion now? Lance hesitated before answering. I think your parents worked hard to raise you, so it's fair to increase the betrothal gift. We've been together a long time, and it wouldn't be right to only follow my ideas. I want to hear your thoughts too. Suppressing a smile, I replied firmly, Cancel the wedding. I don't want to get married anymore. This time, Lance didn't panic. His face showed only resignation. Lillian, you said the same thing yesterday. I'm not canceling the wedding. If there's something my family or I didn't do well, tell me, and we can work it out. For the first time, I saw genuine seriousness in his eyes. Before I could respond, his phone rang. I caught a glimpse of the caller ID as he answered. I'm with Lillian, he said, his expression suddenly changing to tension and anxiety. How could this happen? Don't worry. Don't move. I'll be right there. Without a word to me, he turned and ran off. No goodbye, no explanation. Watching him leave, I couldn't help but smile slightly. Go find your love. May the two of you stay entangled forever. Since Lance refused to accept my twice-repeated desire to cancel the wedding, I decided to pause my efforts. 5 days remained until the wedding, and 10 days until the new semester began. My immediate plan was simple: visit the mall and buy 2 new outfits for school. While shopping, a text from Lance interrupted my browsing. Where are you? At the mall, I replied. Tell me the exact location. I'll come find you, he responded. Seeing this as an opportunity to discuss canceling the wedding, I shared my location. In the women's clothing section on the 2nd floor, I browsed the racks. Suddenly, a familiar voice caught my attention. Do you think my breasts are bigger than your girlfriend's? Pushing aside the clothes, I saw Delilah, wrapped intimately in another man's arms. One hand rested on her waist, the other on her chest. In the clothing section, an intimate conversation unfolded between Delilah and her companion. Yeah, yours are a D, right? The man asked casually. I know a C, Delilah flirted, tracing circles on his chest with her finger. Let me let you touch them, and you can buy me something. Okay, pick whatever you want. I've got plenty of money, the man responded smoothly. Delilah kissed him on the lips, but as she adjusted her clothing, she suddenly noticed me watching. Her face turned ghostly pale. Hurriedly straightening her appearance, she stormed over to me. Lillian, what did you see? What did you hear? She demanded, her voice sharp with panic and anger. I looked at her frantically frightened face and responded with icy coldness. Did I say I wanted to interfere? Delilah opened her mouth but couldn't find words. She knew I had witnessed everything, and her carefully constructed facade was crumbling. Ignoring her completely, I turned to leave. Just then, Lance appeared in the corridor. Delilah, sensing an opportunity, dramatically yelled, Brother Ken, deal with her. Before I could react, she grabbed my arm. Sister Lillian, how could you cheat on Lance? How could you do this to him? Her performance was theatrical and confused. I said nothing. The man behind Delilah stepped forward, pushing her hand off me and standing protectively in front of me. Who are you, and why are you touching my woman? He demanded. Delilah stumbled and fell to the ground weakly. As Lance reached us, she cried out, Lance, Sister Lillian is cheating on you with this man. He even pushed me down. Lance glared at me before helping Delilah up. I know. I heard everything, he said accusatorily. Turning to me, he asked, What's going on, Lillian? You keep saying you love me, yet you're involved with this man. Is he the reason you want to cancel the wedding? Did you cheat on me? Before I could respond, the strange man spoke up. Yes, we've checked into hotels more than once. If you know what's good for you, you'll let her go. I stared at him in disbelief, wishing I could strangle him for his fabricated lie. Suddenly, Lance lunged at the man, throwing punches. Bastard, he shouted, She's my fiancée. Even if she cheated, I'll still marry her. You'll never have her. I watched indifferently as Delilah frantically tried to intervene. The commotion quickly drew security guards and police. In the mall's security office, we explained the situation. When asked if Delilah and Lance's story was true, I firmly denied everything. I don't know this man, I stated clearly. He's not involved with me in any way. During questioning, the man quickly wilted under pressure, but Delilah, desperate and bold, continued her accusations. I saw them together, she claimed, feigning embarrassment. He even touched her. Lance's fury was palpable. I believe Delilah, he declared. Delilah's smug expression triggered something within me. I had momentarily considered admitting to the false accusations just to cancel the wedding, but seeing her manipulative performance changed my mind instantly. I wouldn't take the blame for her schemes. Fortunately, the police reviewed the surveillance footage, completely clearing my name. Delilah offered pitiful excuses to Lance, who comforted her without any hint of criticism. It's fine, he told her. Just stay away from that guy. As we left, Lance's parting words were typical of his controlling nature. Since you didn't betray me, the wedding will proceed as planned. Delilah's upset, so I'll take her home. You can get home on your own. That evening, I strategically convinced my parents to take a trip, helping them book their tickets. They departed the next day. Afterward, I met with Yvonne, my trusted college roommate, and shared every detail of the mall incident and my future plans. Yvonne's support was immediate and passionate. Lance has treated you poorly so many times, she said. I told you before he wasn't good for you, but you wouldn't listen. And Delilah? She's the ultimate schemer. I'm so glad you finally come to your senses and are ready to dump that jerk. I'll help you. Once we teach them a lesson, we'll cut ties with them forever. We nodded in solidarity and began meticulously planning our strategy. That evening, I took decisive action. I contacted a photographer and offered him 3 times the standard rate to follow my specific instructions and document everything on the wedding day. Additionally, I hired 2 more photographers online at a premium rate to track Lance and Delilah's movements starting immediately. Their mission was simple: capture any suspicious behavior. I was confident that within 4 days, I would gather all the evidence I needed. Lance and Delilah were not known for their discretion. With preparations in place, I could only wait for the wedding day to unfold. But fate had other plans. The evening before the wedding, something unexpected happened. After enjoying a simple meal near my home, I was suddenly ambushed by Delilah and 3 men. Though it was only 6 in the evening with street lamps illuminating the area, numerous dark spots lined the road. Delilah dragged me into a corner. When I attempted to resist, the 3 men quickly surrounded me. Lillian, I really don't understand what's so special about you, Delilah sneered. Her voice dripped with malice. Lance spoils me endlessly, yet he still insists on marrying you. I've been trying to seduce him these past 2 days, but he's stubborn. Her tone turned venomous. Stepping closer, she pinched my chin and lifted my face. You're getting married tomorrow, probably with your face all done up beautifully. Tell me, what if I ruin it right now? Wouldn't you be humiliated tomorrow? Delilah's smile sent ice-cold shivers down my spine. Though I maintained an outward calm, inside I was terrified. No one was around to help, and I couldn't even call for assistance. My body trembled slightly, but I refused to show fear. Suddenly, Delilah released my chin and took a step back. Take out your weapons and scratch her face, she ordered the men. My heart leaped into my throat as one man raised a knife. In that moment of pure terror, I heard a familiar voice. Hey, honey, isn't that Lillian? Relief washed over me as I recognized my second aunt's voice. I quickly turned toward the sidewalk, seeing her and my second uncle approaching. Second uncle, second aunt, it's me. Help me, I shouted. Delilah and her men realized their plan had failed. Let's go, she ordered angrily, and they fled down another road before my relatives reached me. Lillian, are you okay? My second uncle asked, worry etched on his face. I shook my head to reassure them. They carefully checked me over, ensuring I wasn't hurt before relaxing. Do you know those people? My second aunt inquired. No, I lied smoothly. I didn't want to explain the complicated situation or share too much personal information. They seemed like hooligans trying to rob me. My second aunt clicked her tongue. People like that will end up in jail sooner or later. It's not safe for a young woman to be out alone at night. Don't go out after dark anymore. I nodded obediently. Your parents posted pictures from their trip to Xi'an, she continued. Are you safe staying at home alone? Why don't you stay with us tonight? Your cousin is home doing her summer homework. You can share her room. No, I'm fine at home, I replied firmly. Seeing my determination, they didn't insist. All right then, we'll walk you downstairs, my second aunt said. That evening, before going to bed, I reviewed the photos sent by the paparazzi I had hired. A satisfied smile crossed my lips. I replayed the recordings I'd gathered, feeling increasingly confident. During Delilah's roadside confrontation, I had discreetly activated my phone's recording function by pressing the volume button 3 times. Her threats and orders were now captured as irrefutable evidence. The wedding day arrived. The ceremony was scheduled for noon, with Lance and I agreeing to arrive separately. He would handle on-site arrangements and greet guests, while I prepared in the makeup room. Our plan was to meet at the ceremony. When I arrived at the hotel by taxi, Yvonne and the photographer were already waiting at the entrance. Together, we made our way to the makeup room. I had hired my own makeup artist, knowing Lance's family insisted that wedding makeup was the bride's responsibility. In the makeup room, I discussed our carefully crafted plan with Yvonne and the photographer. Yvonne, follow the plan, I instructed. Go to the venue and bribe the person in charge to live stream the footage from the photographer's camera. Yvonne grinned confidently. No problem. I've prepared generous red envelopes. No one can resist money. I turned to the photographer. Can your camera handle live streaming? Yes, he confirmed. I'll show your friend how to connect it. She can control the stream from her phone or computer. Satisfied, I nodded. Just follow Lance and record everything. I've already told him about the follow-up shoot, and he agreed. We reviewed potential scenarios before Yvonne and the photographer left the room. Instead of beginning my makeup, I waited for the right moment. At 11:40, I stood unnoticed in the wedding venue, wearing a simple outfit. The big screen displayed live footage from the photographer's camera. It showed detailed venue arrangements, flower baskets, decorations, and Chinese characters symbolizing happiness. The camera moved steadily forward. Lance's relatives sat sparsely around the venue. At the main table, Lance's parents chatted with his uncle and aunt, his mother beaming with happiness. Suddenly, the screen's footage shifted to a room, and a voice emerged. Lan, this isn't appropriate, Lance's voice rang out. The venue fell silent as everyone turned to the screen. The camera focused on a wall, but the voices continued. What's inappropriate about it? Delilah's voice replied. We've already kissed before. This is just reminiscing, Lance muttered weakly, followed by the sound of kissing. Delilah gasped. Enough! Today is my wedding. I'm going to the venue now. It's not time yet, Delilah protested. Lance, don't marry Lillian. I love you. Lillian loves me, Lance replied reflexively. Then make me your mistress, Delilah demanded boldly. Do you like my breasts? The conversation spiraled, becoming increasingly intimate, until the screen suddenly revealed their faces caught in a compromising moment. Delilah panicked. What are you filming? She cried. Yvonne swiftly cut the live stream, leaving the screen black. The wedding venue erupted into stunned whispers. Straightening my posture, I walked onto the stage with calculated confidence. Lance's parents stared at me in shock. their expressions a mixture of disbelief and horror. Taking the microphone, I addressed the crowd with unwavering composure. "Hello, everyone. I'm Lillian, the bride. Since you've all seen the footage, there's nothing more to explain. I hereby announce that the wedding is canceled. Lance and I are finished." Turning to Lance's parents, I continued, "My family didn't accept your betrothal gifts. I only received 200 wen from you, which I'll return now. Lance received 1,000 wen from my parents. Keep it as a gift." Yvonne stepped forward, placing the prepared 200 wen on the table in front of Lance's parents. The stunned silence of the room spoke volumes. "As for the wedding expenses," I concluded, "since your son let me down, your family will bear them." I returned the microphone, stepped down from the stage, and left the venue with dignified steps. Walking towards the hotel exit, an incredible sense of relief and happiness washed over me. I had meticulously prepared 2 plans for this day. The first was to catch Lance red-handed through luck and circumstance, ending everything easily. The second, more elaborate plan involved publicly displaying intimate photos of Lance and Delilah. These included compromising images: Delilah touching Lance inappropriately at a restaurant, Lance hugging Delilah in a shopping mall corner, and Delilah putting her hand inside Lance's shirt by the roadside. I also possessed additional photographic evidence: pictures of Delilah kissing and groping other men at bars, along with audio recordings of her threatening me. My ultimate goal was to cancel the wedding publicly, expose Lance's scandal to his family and friends, and reveal Delilah's true character. Fortunately, I didn't need to use those carefully prepared photos or recordings. The live-streamed evidence had done the work for me, because luck was on my side. I thought to myself. "Lance, goodbye," I whispered as I stepped out of the hotel and into a taxi. Lance came running after me, his desperate voice fading as the car pulled away. "Lillian, wait," he shouted. "It's not what it looks like. I still want to marry you." I didn't look back. Instead, I lowered my head and sent a message to Yvonne. "Is it safe?" "Yes, it's safe," she replied quickly. "The photographer and I have already left through the west entrance. No one from Lance's family stopped us." A wave of relief washed over me. This had been part of our carefully orchestrated plan, leaving separately, with me exiting alone and Yvonne departing with the photographer shortly after. Another message from Yvonne soon followed. When they left, Lance's mother had frantically searched for Delilah. Even more dramatically, Lance's grandfather had fainted from sheer anger. I recalled he had been a respected figure in the Education Bureau before retiring. By the time my parents returned from their trip to Xi'an, I had already packed for my new semester. The day before school started, we traveled to Chongqing, where I would pursue my postgraduate studies. That night, we enjoyed a hot pot meal together. Spicy and incredibly satisfying, it felt like a celebration of my new beginning. The next day, my parents helped me register at school, set up my dorm room, and took a stroll around campus before I sent them off to the airport. A new environment promised a fresh start. Over time, I became familiar with my supervisor and got to know senior students and classmates. The next time I saw Lance was during the winter vacation of my first year in graduate school, just before the spring festival. While heading out to buy roast duck near my home, I found him waiting at the entrance of my community. "Lillian, I have so much to say to you," he began, looking haggard and desperate. "I was wrong before. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been so close to Delilah." His voice trembled with emotion. "After you left, I realized that you're the one I truly love. Before, I thought you loved me more than I loved you, but now I know I can't live without you. Let's get back together." He continued pleading. "If you don't want to marry now, it's fine. I'll wait until you graduate. I'll work hard to support you and pay for your studies. After you graduate, I'll give your family a betrothal gift of 200,000 wen." I listened to his desperate promises, looking at his disheveled appearance. Then, with a charming smile, I simply replied, "Sorry, Lance." I'll never get back together with you, I stated firmly. Don't come to see me again. I don't want to see you. With grace, I turned and walked away, leaving Lance's desperate pleas behind. After graduating from postgraduate school, I secured a position at a listed company in Ningbo through campus recruitment. Within 3 years, I was promoted to department director and purchased a small apartment in the city. Though I remained single, I was thriving professionally and financially, feeling confident and content with my life. A year later, during a work dinner, fate introduced me to Ethan, a senior from my postgraduate days. A native of Ningbo, he had worked abroad for 5 years and recently returned. "Lillian, it's fate that we meet again," Ethan said with a warm smile. "Let's exchange contact information and keep in touch." I nodded, and we exchanged numbers and added each other on WeChat. 6 months of getting to know each other culminated in Ethan's heartfelt confession of love. I admired his gentle and refined manner, his simplicity, and his sincerity. "It's my honor to win your affection," he told me. "I'll cherish you and do my best to love and protect you." I agreed to be with him. A year later, Ethan and I got married. When our son was 5 years old, I returned to my parents' home for a class reunion with Yvonne. There, I heard about Lance's downfall. It turned out Lance's 10-year-old son wasn't biologically his. His wife, Delilah, had been consistently unfaithful, frequenting bars and maintaining ambiguous relationships with other men. Lance discovered the truth during a traumatic moment, when his son was injured during gym class, and a blood transfusion revealed incompatible blood types. After the divorce, Lance spiraled dramatically. He quit his job, accumulated online loans, and frequently posted melancholic messages on social media, accompanied by pictures of alcohol and cigarettes. Yvonne and I exchanged a knowing look, sharing a faint, understanding smile. "Was Lance's wife named Delilah?" a classmate suddenly asked. "I saw a viral video yesterday of a wife catching her husband's mistress at a hotel. The mistress was being beaten while someone yelled, 'Delilah!'" I stopped listening to the gossip and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window to admire the view. Yvonne joined me. "I heard your son is good at spoken English," she said, changing the subject. I smiled and nodded. "Yes, Ethan has been teaching Cece since he was little." Cece was our son's nickname. My phone rang, breaking the moment. It was Ethan. "Honey, are you almost done? My car's parked outside the restaurant," he said. I smiled. "I'll be out soon." As I prepared to leave, Yvonne looked at me with warmth. "Your happiness is written all over your face. Stay this happy, Lillian. You deserve all the good things in life." I hugged her. "Thank you, Teacher Yang. Let's both be happy." On the way home, I looked at Ethan, who was driving carefully. My heart swelled with love. Even after all this time, I cherished him deeply. "Honey, it's so nice to have you," I said sincerely. At a traffic light, Ethan reached out and gently touched my head. "Silly girl, you're my lucky charm," he replied affectionately. As the years passed, Lillian's life became a testament to resilience and self-discovery. That moment in the mall, that decision to cancel her wedding, wasn't just an act of rebellion. It was an act of profound self-love. Her story isn't about finding the perfect man or getting revenge. It's about finding herself. Remember that postgraduate admission letter Lance had thrown away? It became her ticket to a completely new life. She didn't just survive, she thrived. From a cashier and shelf stocker to a department director at a listed company, Lillian proved that it's never too late to chase your dreams. When she met Ethan, it wasn't out of desperation or fear. It was a partnership of equals, built on mutual respect, love, and genuine connection. Her son, Cece, grew up seeing a mother who was strong, independent, and unapologetically herself. And Lance? His life unraveled exactly as karma would predict. The man who once thought he could control Lillian's entire existence ended up losing everything: his wife, his reputation, his dignity. But this isn't a story about Lance's downfall. This is a story about Lillian's rise. To every person watching who feels stuck, who's been told they're not enough, who's been made to feel small, this is your reminder. Your worth is not determined by someone else's opinion. Your potential is not limited by your past. Your future is waiting to be written by you. Lillian's journey teaches us one powerful lesson. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is choose yourself. So ask yourself, what story will you write? What dreams will you chase? What parts of yourself will you reclaim? Your second chance is always just one decision away. If this story moved you, if it inspired you, if it made you feel something, share it, like it, subscribe. Because every time you share a story of empowerment, you might just be the lifeline someone else needs to find their own strength. Your voice matters. Your story matters. You matter.